programs. We see architecture. People, they tend to use this to make designs of houses, things that you're trying to build. The automotive industry, I don't know if you guys might be too young, but if you're bought a car online and customized it, and you've seen that you can change bits and pieces of your car, generally that's using the Unity engine. And then we also see it in the film industry. I'm sure many of you know what computer generated imagery is, and Unity is conducive to doing that sort of work. So now I'll start off with the actual Unity programming. So a couple things, you're gonna need to download Unity. It comes two things. We have an editor, which you'll see. Let me close some of this stuff. This is our Unity hub. This is basically going to be used to control all our projects, to start a new project, to open up the project that we've already used. Today, we're going to be opening up a new project. And just in case for anybody that hasn't downloaded this, you'll find this under development tools on the unity.com, and you can just click download Unity. I already have it downloaded. I'm not going to do that right now. It takes a little bit of time. It's about, I want to say it's like 6 gigabytes on your hard drive. So it is a little bit bigger. So you need to be aware of that. And the only other thing, so we need a stronger computer for this, just because it's a big, bulky program. So I'm personally using a Lenovo computer with a 16 gigabyte RAM. It works with a computer that has an 8 gigabyte RAM, but it's going to be very clunky and not ideal. And also a minimum of a 512 gigabyte solid state drive is also recommended. Again, just for performance reasons. And so yeah, we have our Unity hub. This is where we're going to control and manage all our projects. And then we have our Unity editor, which is this big thing. So I have a finished project right here, but that's not what we're going to start off with. So I'm going to close this.
Bryan, I'm sorry to interrupt. I forgot to make one announcement, and that is that those who are in the attendees, we have a Q&A box that's open. So if you have any questions along the way for Bryan, feel free to pop that into the Q&A, and that's our job, is to try to make sure we send that question over to Bryan to answer at any time during the session. Thanks, Bryan.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. All right, so yeah, like I said, so you just need a stronger computer for this sort of thing. It's just a big program, but if you have already downloaded Unity, I would highly recommend that you follow along. I'll try and go a little bit slow so you can see the steps, but ultimately it's not too difficult. So yeah, you're gonna open up your Unity hub. The icon will look something like this. And when you open it up, you'll get this screen right here. Only if you've never used it, this right here will be blank. These are just a couple of projects that I've already worked on. We have different tabs here, installs, where you can install different releases of Unity. This is the second most up-to-date Unity. I have a couple older versions too, just for older projects. We have the Learn tab right here, which it gives you a couple tutorials on Unity program, which today we're actually going to work through the 2-dimensional video game. I'm sure some of you have played maybe Super Mario. The video game that we're making today is going to be in that style of game. So you open up your Unity hub, and then you're going to click on New Project. And when you open up your new project, you'll get up top here. You can choose which release you want to use. I'm going to use my most up to date. This is not the most up to date. There's one more recent release, but any one of these is fine. There'll be small changes in between each other. And then I'll go over here to the tab that says Learning. So Unity offers free tutorials. So you don't got to pay for any of this, on 4 different types of games: a go-karting game, a first-person shooter game, a 3-dimensional Lego micro game, and the one that we're going to be doing today, which is the 2-dimensional platformer micro game. So I'll click on that. Under project name, you can name it whatever. In this case, I'm going to call it HOC 2D project. And then that'll create a project. And this will take a little bit of time, just a couple of seconds, to open up tablets, open up files that we're going to be needing for this. Again, it'd be good to follow along right now. Once this opens up, we'll start with actual computer programming. I don't know if many of you have too much experience doing this sort of thing. It might be a little bit scary, but it's not. So we'll give it just a second here. I don't know if anybody has any questions right now. This would be a good time to ask. Let's see. Nothing right now.
Questions?
If not, that's fine. We just got to give it a second for it to open up. But yeah, Unity, a bunch of different industries use it. It's very prominent in the video game industry. I'm sure people who have games on their specifically on their phones, there's a lot of phone applications that use the Unity engine. So it's very big in that industry. I personally used it. I mostly use like 3-dimensional games just for fun kind of thing. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Oh, I think I accidentally opened up the wrong kind of file. So give me a second. I'm gonna close this off. Sorry about that. There we go. You gotta actually click this. I didn't click anything. So I just opened up a completely blank project. So we'll do 2D project. Sorry about that. You can open up with a completely open project, which is good for somebody who knows what they're doing already. There's a lot of things in the Unity editor that you can control and manipulate. So if you don't know what you're doing, starting off with a completely blank project, it's a little bit difficult. Today, we're going to be starting off with a template. So the foundation of our game, for the most part, will already be created. When it opens up right now, you'll see that there's already a lot of things that are already included in the game. And again, this is geared towards more like beginners, people who have absolutely no experience in video game programming or programming in general. So that's the nice thing about this tutorial. As long as, in general, high school students can do it, or anybody with the level of computer fluency, downloading files or saving things to specific folders, this sort of thing, that's all the skills that you really need to be able to complete this tutorial. So again, just give it a second. Sorry about that.
When you say, I have a question, Bryan.
Yeah.
When you say the 3D game, is that the same or different as like a VR game?
VR games are 3-dimensional, yeah. That it doesn't necessarily have to be a VR game, but yeah, in general, VR games, they are 3-dimensional. So yeah, anybody using an Oculus, maybe some game that you've played has the Unity engine in it. There's a couple of gaming engines, but Unity is one of the big ones.
Hey, Bryan, I know we're almost, it's almost going to load up here. Maybe, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later, but can you tell folks what got you initially interested in some of this programming work? What first attracted you?
Yeah, so I got into computer programming. I was a young student in undergrad. I was originally a mechanical engineering major, and it was very difficult. Intermixing physics and chemistry and thermodynamics, everything just seemed very abstract. The part of the curriculum was computer programming, so I took a intro to computer science in C++. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked being able to see exactly what my work was. Computer programming, you start off with the bare basics, and you just get to see everything that you do. And there was no ambiguity to me, and I liked being in control. So that's kind of what got me started. I took those classes. I enjoyed it. And I thought to myself, hey, like, I think I can do this. And then after taking a couple more classes, I started to realize that it's actually a very lucrative field. So there's that too. So I like it. I enjoy it. Growing up, I went from there being one computer in the classroom to now, like the schools that I work at, everybody's got an iPad or a computer. So technology is all around us. There's always going to be a need for people in technology. So if you have an interest in it and you like making money, I'd highly recommend it. But anyway, so I've
Sorry,
got,
we have 2 more questions before we're gonna let you proceed. So I don't
yes.
know if this is in the same vein, but somebody asked, were you always interested in as a kid? You talked about taking the courses kind of when you were older, but were you interested in a kid? And the other question was, what is your favorite game that you created?
Okay, these are two very great questions. So Shannon, how did I get into this? Was I always interested in this as a kid? So I will say this, I have been interested in video games ever since I was a kid. My father bought me a Super Nintendo. Maybe some of you know what that is, maybe some of you don't. Yeah, I had a Super Nintendo when I was just a wee kid. Once I got a computer in my household, I've always interested in computing, seeing what it can do, but computer programming specifically, I didn't get into that until I was in college. I kind of knew what it was, but it wasn't until I got introduced to it, being a mechanical engineering student, that I saw what computer programming was, what you can do with it, how it's ingrained in our everyday life. So I hope that answered your question. And what is my favorite game that I've created? So recently I've been working specifically doing mobile phone applications, specifically using the language Kotlin on Androids. And I'm trying to make, I don't know if you've seen games where like you create, like you can like build a world and like you get resources and you start to build things. This sort of game, I don't have like a finished project. This is just something that I'm working on, but I think it's cool because it's something big that I'm trying to tackle. I have a kind of an idea of what I want to do with it, but ultimately it's up to me. I'm at liberty to do whatever I want with it. So I hope that answered your question. And also, I guess I also like the Lego micro game that you do with it, that you can do with Unity. It's actually pretty fun. A little bit more advanced than what we're going to be doing today, but you guys are free to, the tutorial for that completely free. It's already on the Unity Hub, so you can just open up and do it if it really interests you. I'd highly recommend it. I think it's fun. It's especially good for like high school students and younger. Kids tend to love that sort of thing. I'm sure most of you, I know every kid that I work with at all 3 schools that I work at, they're into the game Roblox. If you're into that game, the 3-dimensional Lego micro game on Unity is very much Roblox-esque. So I'd highly recommend that. Anyway, so here we are. I've opened up a blank 2-dimensional platformer game. The first thing that I'll see when it opens up is this screen right here. And we're gonna go ahead and click on load tutorials. And then that'll bring us to this screen right here. So we have the Unity editor open right now. You'll see right here, this area is called my scene. A scene is basically just a moment of time, a specific place and time in your game. So you'll see here, this is the beginning of my game. And this is this is the more advanced part of the level. I'll demo this right now. Over here, we have our hierarchy window. This basically just lists everything that actually exists in our game right now. So you'll see I have player, I have grid, background, enemy, tokens. These are all things that exist in our game currently. Each one of these is what's considered a game object. That's just terminology. I'll go over that in a little bit. But yeah, basically anything under hierarchy is something that actually exists in our game currently. The scene is where we see our game. We have this over here. This is our project and assets tab. This is basically just showing things that we can potentially add into the game. They currently don't exist, but we're at liberty to add any one of the things that we see here into our game. And lastly, we have the inspector window. This will basically just show specific data in regards to any one of these objects. So if I click player, specific data pertaining to player will pop up in this inspector window. But and then we have lastly this tutorial window. Normally when you're working on on an actual serious project, this won't be here. Just for the case of this for this tutorial, this exists here, but we can close this out if we don't need it. So yeah, we should all see this right now if we're following along, and we're going to go ahead and click start. And so a lot of times when we're creating stuff, we want to constantly check and see if the changes that we made are actually what we intended them to be. Right now, we're just going to enter play mode and see what this game, what's it all about so far. So this is our game right now. Again, very standard game, something like Super Mario. You can jump, move side to side. You have enemies, this sort of thing. So it's cool, just a fun little game. Nothing too crazy. Again, this is a pre-made template, so a lot of these things, normally if you start off with a blank project, all these things won't be here. But in this case, we started with the template, so it's giving us a lot of things just to show us potentially things that we could add into a game and help us get a feel for the Unity editor. So we'll see here, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select the player game object. So that's over here in our hierarchy window. You go ahead and click player. And so in the inspector window, now we have different data which pertains to our player. In this case, we're going to modify the max speed. But if you see, we have a lot of things such as the beginning position, rotation. We can even change the gravity, sound effects when they jump, sound effects when they get hurt. These are all things that we can control. And that's the powerful thing about Unity, is that we can essentially do absolutely anything that we want. So in this case, we're going to increase our max speed property to 10 using the max speed field. So I'll just go ahead and delete that 3. I'll add a 10, hit enter, and now I'll click next here. We're just going to save really quick. So that'll be Control S, or if you're using a Mac, that would be Command S. I'm on Windows, so I use Control, and then we're going to try it out. And right here, we're going to notice that now my character moves a lot faster than before. Maybe even too fast. I'd argue a little bit too fast. So again, it's all about tinkering. We'll go back right now and change that. But for now, we'll go on to the second step. So hit done. Oops. And then we'll go to editor basics. So this will bring up the second part of the tutorial, just to give us a little bit more information about the editor. I'm sure as you see, there's a lot of different things that we can click on here. So it's very easy to get lost. But luckily, these nice tutorials show us things step by step. So here we see the view tool. If you click on that, you can move around. You can see all parts to my level, which is nice. Now we're going to go ahead and click next. And now we can also see that we can zoom in and out of our level. We can either hit the Alt key and right click and zoom in and out. Or if you're using a mouse with the scroll pad, you can just scroll in and out. Again, just to you move things around, see exactly what's going on, see things that you like, see things that you don't like, see things that you want to change, that sort of thing. So it's good to be able to navigate. So go ahead and click next. And then we'll see the move tool. The move tool, we can actually we can click on specific objects and move them around. In this case, I see this token right here. I can click on this box right here, and I can move it wherever I want, or I can use these arrows. This one to move it anywhere up and down. This one to move it anywhere left to right. Just wherever you want. Ultimately, it's up to you. This is part of the fun in being a video game creator. So go ahead and click next. And we're done. So again, those were just some basic commands in the Unity editor. They'll help us out in navigating around our level and being able to change certain things that we want to change. So we finished this part of the tutorial, and then we'll go ahead and click done. Oop, and I gotta save. Always remember to save. So now that's the second part of the tutorial. So now we'll go on to the third part, which is this item right here, change colors. So when we go ahead and click that, so we're just gonna make our game more colorful. I'll click start to begin. So now again, we'll go ahead and click on player. And one fast thing that we can do if we have an item selected and we want to focus on it, we just click F and we'll focus on our player. So we see him up nice and close. So we can make changes to him. Go ahead and click next. And we're gonna have to change the color, which is under here under sprite renderer. So you'll see the color section right here. Currently our character is this little blue color right here, but you can go ahead and click on that and this color will pop up and you can literally choose whatever color and whatever hue contrast that you want. Again, ultimately it's up to you. In this case, I'll take this nice purple color. I like it, I'm all done. So I'll go ahead and exit out. And there we go. I've customized my game a little bit. I've changed the color of my character. So we're all done with that. I'll go ahead and click next. And now we'll enter play mode to see how that looks different. Give it a second. And yeah, now we see that my character is purple. He moves really fast. Very different from what I had in the original. So go ahead and stop that. Again, I'm just constantly playing it to make sure that the changes that I thinking I'm making are the changes that I'm actually making. So we're done with that. And now we're gonna go to the next tutorial, which is to add an enemy. I can click done or I can click directly on this right here, tutorial 4. So that's what I'm gonna do this time. Again, you should always save. And just to check, do we have any questions right now? By any chance? Let's see, no, good.
I don't
All
see
right,
any
well,
questions, Brian, but I was wondering because you said that you needed a certain capacity for the specs for a computer, but
Yeah.
when you're in and out, is the iPad or another device able to do the work of the Unity programming or touch screen? That's what I'm ultimately asking about.
so it will, but it'll be very clunky. Things will be very slow, glitchy, that sort of thing. So that it'll work, it will, but it's not ideal for this sort of thing. Again, the Unity editor itself, it's like 5 gigabytes. Every project, it takes up a good amount of data. So yeah, it definitely puts a bit of a stress on your computer. So yeah, again, if for now, for this basic demonstration, it's perfectly fine. You should be able to work through it completely. But if you were to actually do serious work, more advanced projects, it would just be very annoying to do it on like an iPad or something like that, because everything's going to be so glitchy and patchy. And then when you want to make a final build to publish onto the Unity website, it's just going to take forever. So it can be done. This is very basic. We're not doing too much, so it'll work. But if you do wish to do something like this in the long run or do more advanced work, I would highly recommend getting a computer with a 16 gigabyte RAM and a 512 gigabyte hard drive at the very least. Anything more, of course, will be greater, but that's like the bare minimum. That's actually recommended on the Unity website as well. So, all right, so now we're going to go on to the next tutorial, which is going to be to add an enemy into our world. I'm just going to go ahead and click start. All right, so we see here, down here in our project window, again, these are things that don't exist yet, but we can add. So in this case, we see enemy highlighted. So we can just click that and drag it into our screen. And now that exists, I'll focus on it. And this enemy, which didn't exist previously, now exists in our world. So good, we'll go ahead and click next. And then we can move it. Again, using the move tool right here. Another quick way of accessing it is clicking the W key on your keyboard. And you see I can move it wherever I want, up and down. It doesn't matter. It's ultimately up to you. Go ahead and click next. And now 2 new things that we see over here is the rotate tool, which allows us to rotate our enemy around any axis that we want. And then we have the scaling tool, which allows us to scale it to size as much as we want. In this case, I'll make it nice and big. I'll go ahead and click next. Yeah, I'll go ahead and click next. So I changed it, but I'm gonna demonstrate it to you right now. So I'll click done for now. Save that. And then we're gonna play it. And you'll see now that the enemy that I've added is right there, which is cool. This game, for now, that's the only enemy that we'll be adding. But again, ultimately, you can get as creative as you want with this. Put all sorts of things there, which make it nice and fun. And so that's the end of this particular tutorial. We also have micro game mods over here, but these are a little bit more advanced and take a little bit of time. I'll show you some of the things that we can do, but I won't demonstrate it. So yeah, the Unity website, specifically the Unity Learn website, there's a bunch of free resources here that demonstrate different things that you can do. You'll see here, this person makes a built board and they put their face on it. This person named the game and added that into the background. And yeah, there's just a bunch of different modifications that we can make here, coloring, adding trails, custom triggers. These are all things that we can do to our game to make it even more, make it more original to ourselves, make it more fun. So that's a cool, I would check that out. If you're interested in this, I would definitely check that out and I highly recommend it. But okay, so right now, so we have a game. We've changed some of the physics of the game. One thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my player. So I'm gonna exit out of this. I'm gonna go back to my player. And one thing that I wanna change is the gravity. I'm gonna make the effects of gravity a little bit more severe. And I'm gonna make the speed a little bit slower, just because I think things were a little bit too fast. I'll go ahead and demo that. And again, there's all sorts of things that you can control in the Unity editor. These are 2 things I just want to control. So yeah, now we'll see my character can jump as high. He's not moving as fast. Makes it a little bit more reasonable, which is cool. And again, so we can customize pretty much anything in here. So for example, if I click on these houses, one thing that I want to do is I want to change the color. So whatever color you guys want to change it to. Again, the color wheel pops up. You can choose absolutely anything that you want to. In this case, I'll go with this blue. I can click on this down here. I can change the color of that again to whatever I want to. It's all up to you. Whatever you want for your game. Maybe your school colors, maybe your favorite colors, that sort of thing. Anything that you want. The Unity editor allows you to do that. So the last thing that I'm going to show you. So say you have a finished project. You have something that you like. You want to share it to the world. So what you would do, so Unity allows you to build and publish whatever game that you've created to the Unity website. So in this case, so you have your editor open and you'll see this tab up here that's called Publish. And you would see this option right here, WebGL project. So you would click on that and it will bring up this window. You'd say, oh, I want to create a build of my project and publish it to Unity Play. That way, I'll get a link to a website and I can share that link with my friends, my family, anybody who I want to see this game. So yeah, you would just hit get started and you would hit build and publish. So this takes a little bit of time. For me, the project that I built, it took about like 15-20 minutes. So I'm not going to do it right now. I actually already built it and published it on the Unity website, which I'm going to show you. But yeah, in general, this should, for a project about this size, it'll take about 15-20 minutes. And then once you have a final build of your project, you can publish that onto the Unity website. This is one part where if you don't have a computer that's very powerful, this could take a lot longer. For example, when I first started doing Unity project, I was doing it on an 8 GB RAM MacBook. And this took, for a simple project, it was like upwards of an hour. So that it works, it works. It's just not ideal at all. But I'm okay. So you would build and publish your project. The computer would do some computing, and eventually, you would have a button right here that just says publish. You would click that, and that would give you a window like this. So this is my game done and ready to play on the Unity website. Again, if you have a Unity account, which I do, this goes to your account. So anything that you publish will be associated with your account. You can go back to it, make changes, again, share with anybody that you want. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and play it. You see, made with Unity. And here we go. I have a completely finished project published on the internet, ready for the real world. I can share this with all my friends and family so they can see what I've created. And it's cool. It's my own creation. Let's see. Yes, it's my own creation. And this is just the beginning, right? There's so many things that you can do. This is all that I'll demonstrate for today. But yeah, now would be a good time for questions if anybody has them. Let's see. No questions right now?
No questions. Are you planning on showing more of the 2D game, or do you think you can show us something that you created from the other options of projects?
Something like, yeah, sure, I can demonstrate something. As far as the 2D game goes, yeah, this is about all I got. But if you want me to demonstrate another game, I'd be happy to do that.
Oh,
Cool.
no, I was just seeing if you have something that you had created in the past that looks a little bit different, but if we're focusing on 2D, that's cool too.
Yeah, I can demo my Lego micro game really quick.
Okay.
Cool. So, all right, so that's done for now for this. So I'll go ahead and close this out. I'll save that. Let's see, I'll bring back up my Unity hub. I actually have a couple of different things that I can demo. I'll probably just go through them all really quick. I'll do this one first. This is just a simple go-kart game. Again, this is another one of the free tutorials that you can go over. I'll demo this, and then I'll demo the Lego micro game one. They won't take too long. The Lego micro game one is a little bit bigger though. And this one should be fast. So again, it'll just take a little bit of time to open up. So again, here I have, I'm gonna just load up a little bit. Again, the Unity editor. And again, this also has a tutorial, just like we worked through on the 2-dimensional game. I would open up a project, open up tutorials, and then one by one, I can go through all of these. And it'll just kind of introduce me to things pertaining to whatever game that it is I'm working on. So here, I have a nice little racing game. Again, this was started from a template, so a lot of things were already here, but I changed some of the physics. I added things like that RAM. Very simple. So that's cool. That's one, again, this is as simple as it gets. A lot of the things that were in this game, they already existed, but it's cool. This was something that I created on my own. So that's another tutorial that you can do completely for free on the Unity gaming engine. So I'll go ahead and exit out of this. And let's see. One of these is, I think this one might be it. This is my Lego micro game. If I'm correct, this one has 2 levels to it too. So this one's cool because this one's 3-dimensional. I added things to the environment, like a bridge. I added enemies that can shoot projectiles at me. I changed the wind conditions, so you can change. There's tokens in this level like you can grab, and if I'm correct, I've changed the wind conditions to this one to be that you have to grab all the tokens, whereas before the wind condition was to just get to the end of the map. So, and again, this is another one that you can do using tutorials. Let's see. So yeah, and again, this one's a little bit more advanced. There's actually a couple more things that you can modify. You'll see here, you got a platform, activate an elevator, change the wind conditions, add an enemy, customize your game, importing assets. That's a really good one if you want to do something big. And just like we did with the other one at the end, we need to make a final build and then eventually publish that to our website. So, and I'll just show you guys a couple of things. So yeah, this is a 3-dimensional world. Hold on. I've changed this elevator right here. I added this platform as well, added this right here. Originally, when you complete the game to the tutorials, all you have to do is get to this platform right here in order to finish the game. But in my case, I changed it so that you have to collect these tokens right here that you see, this right here, that sort of thing. Just a second. So yeah, this one's a little bit bigger. Platform right here, I also added that. That was cool. Let's see. This bridge right here, I also added that. That I had to download from the Unity website, import it into my game, and then I was able to use it. That's a little bit advanced for now, but for now I'll just demo this. So I'll go ahead and hit play. And give it just a second to load up. And we see here I've created a 3-dimensional game. In this case, I got to collect all these items. I've added some sound effects as well. So very cool. The kids tend to love this one. So I've collected most of these items. I think there might be one of them. So in this case, you can make the elevator constantly go up and down. In this case, I made it that it only activates whenever I step on it. Yeah, you see, I've collected all 13 of the items on the level, and I've completed the level. I'm correct. And so now this is level 2, which again, this is not part of the tutorial, but yeah, it's just, I was just trying to get creative. This one I created for my organization calculus roundtable. They actually wanted me to teach a class on this, specifically this 3-dimensional game. The win condition for this level, touch this. And so yeah, just a fun little game. There's only 2 levels to this. So that's another one of the things that you can do. Again, Unity's good. 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, architectural drawings, engineering blueprints, that sort of thing. All these industries, they can use it. It's a very powerful tool, very versatile tool. Ultimately, it's up to the user how creative they want to be, how creative they are. And, Yeah. Any questions right now? Nothing right now? Okay, cool. Well, I think this is just about all I've got, unless you guys, is there anything else you would like to see? Cool.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, for hosting this webinar for us and giving us a sneak peek of all the things that you can do and be creative around Unity. Thanks to the attendees for being present and listening in and learning. We have a lot of other panelists and also demos that we have the rest of the week. So if you go to acoe.org/hour of code, you'll be able to access the schedule at the bottom of the webpage and also have access to the coding campus. I don't think we have a link to the Unity download, but that's something probably people can navigate. But thank you again for everyone's time. I don't know if anyone has any other further comments.
I just want to again thank Brian for taking the time to show us this and sort of inviting us into this really cool world. I will say one of my sons, like a lot of young people, got pretty heavily into Minecraft, I think is the game he really enjoyed among others. And that one just was so cool to watch him play. I just so enjoyed the sort of watching him build a world. And I know a lot of kids are really into that. But this is even cooler in a way, Brian, because this enables you to build your own game more than just an actual environment within a game. So this is kind of taking it up another level. And I can see that this would be really an exciting thing for people to do. So thanks again for showing us and making it seem pretty doable, right, Michelle? I mean, it sort of seems like, regular people could do this kind of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. But, it takes some time, effort, and perseverance. So thank you for your expertise around this, Brian, and we appreciate you joining us this evening and everyone else.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Ben, and to all the students. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for participating.